One of the things, by the way, Moshe, that I really don't like about America, one of the things that drives me a little bit crazy about America is that whenever there's an issue, it's very polarized. You have to be either on one side or the other side. For example, global warming. It either is totally false or totally true. People in the middle just don't survive. And I think it comes from actually the American sports mentality that they see two teams on the field, one has to win. You know, there's no way around that. And that drives me crazy. You're right that it becomes an idolatry, and I'm very conscious of that. But still, at the same time, there is such a thing as an environmentalist issue. And do you agree with me? Do you see it around that? I see it all the time that we have a problem here in Israel. Something very un-Israeli happens all the time when companies dump or municipalities dump waste into the ocean, into the sea, or into the Kinneret. And I know that there's a fish depletion. We don't have even months during the year that there's no fishing, like in many of the countries around the world that give the fish 3 months, a break to kind of breed. What do you think about issues like that?
I think that's terrible. I think we should definitely have much more care and be much more sensitive to these issues. The Mishnah, for example, tells us that goats are not allowed in Eretz Israel, growing goats, behemat daka. Why? Because they eat the leaves from the tree too well and don't leave something for next year. So wherever they go, they leave desert behind them. The Arabs, by the way, with a black goat, created deserts all around the Middle East. Mm-hmm. So definitely, when you're talking about, if Judaism can tell you which animal to grow and each animal what to grow, we can definitely learn from that which kind of factory you're allowed to have and which are not. So you should definitely be aware of the environment and use your common sense in what is allowed and what is not. On the other hand, take, for example, the route number 6 in Israel, where many people said there was a discussion, should it be done or not, before they started. I think today the voices that were against having this new road disappeared. Everybody understands that without this road, no one would be able to move in the streets.
Right. I'm not talking about militant environmentalism. I'm not talking about the kind of environmentalism.
But the concept is definitely true.
Right.
Yes.
Not to stop progress, but to be concerned. And it just seems to me to be very Israeli. The Israeli thing to do is to be Israelis ostensibly love the land, right?
You know what bothers me, Yishai? Not that I disagree with what you just said. I agree very much. What bothers me is the right wing, because we don't consider ourselves coming from a Jewish point. We're thinking in a narrow way only on subjects of national settlements, right wing, left wing, and we don't see ourselves as a moral, somebody who has what to say from a moral point of view to the Israelis and to the rest of the world. When I'm saying we, I'm talking about Manhigut Yehudit. We found ourselves demonstrating against the participation of Israel in the Olympic Games in China, the last Olympic Games in Beijing, because of the horrors, terrible horrors that the communist regime in China is doing these days. Horrors. You see, we are very angry. We learn to be very angry at America and England that they did not bomb Auschwitz. So we're saying that they should go out of their way because of moral issues to do something because Germans killed the Jews, because something very terrible, very unmoral happened. But we don't think about us the same way. We don't think about us as a nation that should give an example to the entire world on an international moral issues. Just assume, for example, that the whole right wing, not only Manhigut Yehudit, but all the right wing parties and the religious parties would have said what is happening in China is horrible. Growing people in camps in order to cut their organs and sell is something that we cannot accept, and we cannot give legitimacy to this regime by participating in the Olympic Games. Just assume that we, the right wings, the knitted kippot, would all come out and say Israel should not participate in the Olympic Games because of this moral issues, because we are a Jewish state and we represent human rights and human moral issues. Just assume where that would have taken us as people who believe represent something more than just right-wing and national values.
We have what's called in Jewish mochen de katnut, like what we call in English
exactly.
A limited consciousness. And what's going to help bring about a time of an expanded consciousness?
Jews came out of Egypt over 3,000 years ago. They brought the message of freedom to the world.
Short message to the free world.
Don't go there. Don't go there. If you give legitimacy to the Communist Party in China, you're going to face the same result that you got when you gave legitimacy to the Nazi Party in 1936 in the Olympic Games in Berlin.